Welcome back, Alchemists. This is Wealth Principle 43. 43 is understanding the power of demographics. There are 4 steps to understanding the power of demographics. As real estate investors, we must understand the market we're investing in. And if you're on TikTok or you're on Instagram, you missed what I just said. So this is understanding the power of demographics. We do the 52 weeks of wealth so we can double our income, and double our net worth. Hands can if you're still committed to the cause, doubling your income, doubling your net worth. All right. I just don't want anybody losing sight of the target. Now, outside of this community, we get judged because people are like, well, all you talk about is money. Well, money is the major concern that most people have all of their entire lives. That's why they work 40 to 50 to 60 hours a week. What are they doing it for? They're doing it because they're obsessed with money. As soon as they get out of their job, what do? Have fun, play, spend the money, and then have to come back to work the next day. They say a job, a job, stands for just over broke or just enough to come back to work. Hence, if you've ever had a job, a job, excellent. And at some point, you're going to want to get out of that job. Hence, care if you got out or you want out. Got out or want out. All right. Now, I'm not saying jump out right away. Like I made the mistake of jumping out too soon. I literally did. I jumped out way too soon, and I had to struggle for a year to catch back up. I was making $75,000 with my employer, and then I quit my job, got into real estate as an agent, and made $17,000. So that was an epic fail. And then the next year, I made $115,000. So I was able to make it back up. But that whole year of making $17,000 was not something that I had to do. You don't have to put yourself into such stress and anxiety, especially if you have kids or a spouse. I went through a divorce, which is why I continued to tumble and went through a lot of emotional turmoil while losing all that money. If you're paying attention, you're like, oh my God, like he's telling me quit my job. I'm not saying quit your job. I just want to be very clear. Do not quit your job. Keep making your money. And then on top of that, side hustle, right? The 24 hours in a day, you sleep at 8 of them, you got 16 hours to make money. If you're already committing 8 hours to a boss, you got another 8 hours to commit to making extra money. Hence, care if you're misusing your time. You know for sure you're misusing some of your time. All right. I just want to be clear that it's your fault. It's not the economy's fault. It's your fault. It's not your employer's fault. It's your fault. It's not where you live's fault. Hands care if you understand. It's not anything but you. You're the one. You're the reason. Okay. All right. You're the one who negotiated your salary with your employer. You're the one who negotiated the hours you work with your employer. You're the one who negotiated what you're going to do with yourself after you got out of work, right? If you're sitting there watching Netflix, you're getting your Netflix on, or you're watching Amazon Prime, or you're scrolling through Facebook, watching other people's content instead of mine. If you're scrolling through on Instagram or TikTok, look, that's your choice. Ask if we can make better decisions. We got options. We got choices. We're human beings, right? We got the best computer up here, right? No, nothing more sophisticated. They can't reproduce what you got, the ability to solve problems, right? That ability to recognize patterns and then change what you do, your habits. You're able to reprogram yourself. Ask if you recognize you are the most sophisticated computer on the planet right now. I say right now because coming soon, Elon's working on beating you. So we got to out hustle that. We got to out hustle the robots. They're coming. So understanding demographics. We are real estate investors. For anybody new, I'm on a mission to build 100 millionaires. We're inspired to build 100 millionaires. If you're on the mission to build 100 millionaires or become a millionaire, hands to camera if you are also going to build millionaires. Awesome. Excellent. If you don't want to help others after you get yours, now is a good time to log off. If you're cool with helping others once you've made yours and you're willing to share with other people, excellent. Stay on the call. I'm going to teach you how to get the right people in front of you, how to identify the right markets, and how to build your business in a scalable way. Today, we're just talking about demographics because that is the key to finding the right amount of people. Now, if you're a real estate investor, you don't want to go to a market that doesn't make sense, right? Hence, if you want cash flow in your market. We're going to talk about the 4 steps to making sure that the marketplace has the properties that you're looking for. If you are a business owner, you also want to follow the same exact simple process that we're going to use as real estate investors to decide where do you market to find your money, your clients. You cannot make money where there is no people. Look, we are all introverted until we're broke enough to decide we got to go talk to people. Who here has felt the urge to just go out and meet somebody? Has anybody ever been so lonely you were just like, fucking got to get out of my house, right? Who has ever been so broke that you were like, I'll go talk to everybody today just to get a paycheck, right? Who here's felt those before? And if you've never felt those, well, you haven't hit the bottom yet, and you got to go hit the bottom first. Understanding who has what you're looking for will allow you to get more of it. So we're going to start in Wealth Principle 43. Wealth Principle 43, understanding the power of demographics. And we're going to go through the 4 tips for finding the best places to invest in real estate. Number 1, you must understand population trends. Now, the population trends are things like, is the population growing? This is my favorite one. This is like the most important one to me. Or is the population shrinking? If it's shrinking, I probably won't be there for very long. If the population is growing, there's a good chance that more and more appreciation, higher in rents. Now, what are the age and demographics of the population? I know that older populations tend to be harder to raise rents on. I know that younger populations tend to be pretty easy to raise rents on. So we're constantly looking for the younger populations with higher incomes. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Number 2, the economy and employment. Now, there were a lot of steps to deciding whether this is the right economy or the right employment. You can go online. You can figure out, Census Bureau gives you a lot of information around like how much income is coming into a city. These are free resources. These are the steps you're looking for. Within the economy, point 1, who are the major employers, and are they from diverse industries or one sector? In Fall River, where I grew up and I started investing, we had one major employer. It was the textile business. And as soon as textiles went to China, the whole city became depressed. We went from a city of population of 150,000 to 86,000 people over 50 years. Hence, can't you recognize that's a bad drop? It was 100 years. That's a bad direction to be going in. Number 2, are major employers expanding or contracting? Look at your city. Are big employers building more people, building more businesses, taking more ground? Or are they selling off some of their assets, shrinking their office space, having a smaller footprint? Number 3, what is the rate of new business growth in the city? Are new businesses starting up? Do you see new businesses popping up all over the place? Do you see more on Yelp? When you look at the business owners in that market, are there more of them showing up? This is research you have to do. Another one is Starbucks. Is Starbucks in the town, right? If Starbucks there, if Starbucks is, it's a good sign that your city is growing. Chick-fil-A is another one. If Chick-fil-A is in town, there's a good sign that your city's either on the mend or it's growing. How does job growth compare with the national average? Look at the national average. Look, the city that I grew up investing in does not have a great national average of job growth. We haven't seen a lot of appreciation, but Boston blows past the national unemployment and job growth. And that's a great market for appreciation. What is the GDP of a particular city? What is the gross metropolitan product, and is it growing? This goes back to what is the main thing that they're building and growing and putting out. Like Fall River was textiles. We saw Detroit drop because Detroit was cars, and then the city was completely destroyed when the car industry went under. And they said, they call it the Rust Belt, completely wiped out, all the jobs gone. House prices went down to, you could buy houses for like $4,000 a house, or $400 in some pretty rough neighborhoods. Look, it costs way more money to build a house in Detroit than it does to buy a house in Detroit. So the market got destroyed when those industries got wiped out. Third, salaries and income trends. And again, all of this information is stuff you can find online for your city. The income trends that you're looking for are salaries. Are incomes increases or shrinking? Are the employers able to pay more, or are they cutting back and paying less? And then what percentage of the population is living below the poverty level? What percentage of the population is living below the poverty level? If they're living below the poverty level, there's a good chance rents aren't going to go up for a while, right? Because they're already struggling. They're having a hard time. These are not cities that we tend to like to invest in. Number 4, price to rent ratio. This is a little bit of math involved, but basically what it says is if rent is cheaper than the cost of a purchase, it's not a very good time to purchase. But if rent is higher than the cost of the purchase, the monthly payment of the purchase, then it makes a lot of sense. And what that looks like is this simple formula: the average monthly rental divided by the average home price equals the price to rent ratio. Another way to look at that is this formula right here. I put this together on a spreadsheet this morning, and essentially if the home purchase price is $550, we'll talk about average home price in Arizona right now, $550. Down payment is 25%. So you're putting 137,000 down. And Mitch Jorsky, you can keep track of my math here. That made the rent $2,100. Now, if the mortgage payment, this mortgage payment right up here is $2,200, that technically is a $100 loss on paper until you start looking at the expenses, the repairs, manager expenses, which is another $500. So your technical loss would be $600 per month. That's not a good market to purchase in. Hence, if you understand, it's got a cash flow. That's the opposite of cash flow. That's what we call negative cash flow. So before we go into the book of the week, I've got an additional book that I want everyone to read. If you're a multifamily syndicator, invest across the country, you're looking to leave your market, invest across the country. The first one is Emerging Markets by Dave Lindahl. It's been around for a very, very long time. This book will let you know where to find the emerging markets. It will talk about everything we just discussed. These are the tips of how to do it. But Emerging Markets is a book that is based on, I don't know if I'm in the right place. Like, should I invest here? He's going to talk about tertiary markets versus primary markets. The other one is Big Shifts Ahead. And this book is predictive. They use analytical data to identify when and where the demographic shifts are happening, where people, migratory patterns, and where people are moving to and coming from, so that you identify where to get ahead of the market. Give you a little teaser. You read the book, and mostly it says people are moving to the south. If I were to simplify this book, it would say people from the north are moving to the south. That's Cameron. This is probably a book you should read as well. There's a lot of details. It's crazy detail, both of these books. But these are not the books that are for the book of the week. So without further ado, Michael Shine, this week's book of the week. What is it? Let's bring on Mike Hughes, the keeper of the books, the holistic attorney, the closer. Mike, you're up.
All right. So this week's book is The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. And yeah, there it is. Walter has it. I'm listening to it on Audible. Describe this book quickly is not an easy feat. I guess I would say that it goes through the 18 personality characteristics that we have. That's a pretty important part of it. But it's really sort of what were you saying, Walter? You said when you talked to Vinny, he wanted to focus on mindset, but you were more on the analytical side. Is that what you?
I was begging him to go analytical because I know that's what the audience likes.
Yeah. So this book is really just analytical side of that, of how to deal with human beings and how to see all the personality traits. Lots of really cool stories that go through history to keep it interesting. And yeah, it'll really help you. I mean, if you were cynical, you would say, well, it's a cheat code to manipulate people. But I tried to see it as more of a positive way of seeing your own personality traits and also seeing those of other to get to a better place in cooperating with them, working with them. That's what The Laws of Human Nature is about. It's got really great stories. I was re-listening, and the whole story about Richard Nixon and the dark side is really a cool one. So when you get to that, think of me. But yeah, it's a great book, and I highly recommend it. Thank you.
I think psychologically, everybody in their head is doing things because they're a good person. I like to think that most of the world is operating out of a good place, and some of the things that they do can be perceived as negative. I know occasionally I've said, broke people suck to hang around. Now, I actually genuinely love all people, but I know that I get an itch whenever broke people are like, oh man, you can't do that. You can't be successful. It's impossible to buy a deal like that. You can't buy houses with no money down. Hence, Karen, if that would be frustrating if you're hanging around somebody telling you can't do something all the time. Yeah, a little frustrating, right? So I actually don't like hanging around with broke people. Now, I do it out of charity. I do it because it's the right thing to do, to occasionally go out and like teach a few people how to make money. Hence, if you commit, you'll do the same thing over time. You get yours and you go back and like give, back some knowledge. But the truth is, like, that sounds like a dick thing to say. But that's just, that doesn't make you a bad person to occasionally be like, you need to go to friends and family and like communities that are like, hey, let's give it a try. Let's do some math on how it would work. This is how we actually physically do this. And so there's an economy challenge going on. There's an opportunity for us as real estate investors called a recession. Who here's heard we're in a recession? Who here, when you heard that real estate prices might go down, you got excited a little bit? Who here, when like you were like, oh my God, like this could bring things down, you got like, woo, jazzed, like, let's go. And then I talked to my mom on Thursday and she's like, oh my God, honey, so many people are going to get hurt. It's like, yo, mom, like, it's like telling a medic that people are going to get hurt on the battlefield. Like, no shit, what, I shouldn't show up? Like, I shouldn't go do my job? I shouldn't go do what I'm good at? We're not excited about them getting hurt. What we are is excited about the opportunity to solve a problem, right? There's no doctor on the planet who is truly excited about somebody's injury, but they are excited about solving the problem. Hands Karen, if you know that. You ever watch House? I watch House. I'm like, this dude's not excited about the problem, but when the problem's there, he's excited that he's the one who's chosen to fix the problem, right? He's not out there hurting people, but when the problem comes into the emergency room, you get excited about the ability to solve the problem. So as you're going out there as real estate investors, understand there's a lot of problems to solve. They are coming. People are going to be doing subject to, which is, Larry's in here. He just created his courses. He's offering that to people. There's going to be opportunity for wraparound mortgages, seller financing. There's a lot of opportunities coming because we are in a recession. This is the best time to become a real estate investor. This is where prices are going right now. You saw this at the summit. This is where I think we're kind of at in the cycle. If you remember the cycle from the 100 Millionaire Summit, I said that in a cycle, you've got optimism, excitement, euphoria at the top. Then after that comes denial, fear, and panic, and then depression. And then after that comes hope, optimism, and we continue the cycle again. This whole concept of becoming a millionaire it is not easy, although it is simple. We got to stay focused on what we're doing, right? It is not about I'm making $1 million, about who you become. It is about this journey and having fun with the process. I've had a conversation with Thurman this week, and he put his list up and he said, I'm gonna work hard, no Netflix, no days off. I'm not going out to party. I'm not spending any time with women, and absolutely no fun for the full year because I'm a millionaire this year. And I was like, bro, like, we might want to adjust that. You might want to spend time with good people. You might want to spend time with women who have a positive mindset. You might want to spend time with friends who are already rich. And you might want to have a lot of fun during this year while you're building wealth, while you're supporting other people. And if you're going to watch something on Netflix, watch I'm Not Your Guru by Tony Robbins or Undercover Billionaire with Grant Cardone. And you can learn quite a bit from watching the right things. Watch The Secret, because that, although I think they oversimplified this whole idea of thinking yourself to richness and the law of attraction, it's still got some good stuff in there about you kind of do have to clearly visualize what you want to create, and then you got to go take some action to get there. So I want to open it up to questions because I see Thurman's hands is already up. Let's give Thurman a big round of applause, by the way, because if it wasn't for him pointing that out, I would forget that I also used to believe that. When I was absolutely broken at the bottom, I was like, no fun, no games, all work, no play. And as soon as I made money, I blew it because I had so much pressure around money, and money felt like work. And so when I got a whole bunch of it, I got sick and tired of it, and I got rid of it as quickly as I could, which meant I had to go work again. Hence, Karen, if you don't want that, if you want to learn from the mistakes that the people ahead of you have already made, I want you to look at your market. Please go and finally do the research around the market you're investing in and identify what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, is the economy doing well, is the economy hurting? I want you to go back and actually do the research so that you know for sure that you're in the right market. So step one, right at the top of the piece of paper, I want you to research your population trends. Is the population growing or is it shrinking? Is it aging or is it a younger population? Step two, write this on the piece of paper. I want you to go and research the economy on its employment. Who are the major employers? What industries are they in? Is there new business growth in the city? All the things we talked about on this conversation earlier. And step three, I want you to go and find the salary and income trends. Are salaries increasing or are they shrinking? Are employers being able to pay more or less? What is the percentage of the population that is living under the poverty level? And then for price to rent ratio, please go and do the price to rent ratio on the average sales price of a property. If you're talking about multifamilies, you're going to take the total number of units and divide that by the original price. So you're going to get a price per unit cost and then identify the rent and the mortgage. Chance care if that still makes sense. We're just dividing by how many units are in a building. Excellent. That's your homework for your current market. Go and get the information, go and get that knowledge, because it's going to allow you to raise capital when you're talking to investors. Who knows? You got to be trusted in order for people to give you their money. So if you have this knowledge about your market, it's going to make you more trustworthy, because now trust comes from technical skill, from competency. So they got to know and like you, yes, so you can be a really charismatic person, but without some of this fundamental knowledge, why should anybody invest you? Why should they trust you? And Scan, if you understand you're trustworthy, you are trustworthy. All right. So those 4 steps are going to help you become more trustworthy. And they're also give you more confidence when you're going out and making decisions.